Hi everyone, and welcome to GoldenTalks. This is an amazing start, and this is an special and groundbreaking edition of GoldenTalks because it's the first international interview in English. So I must say that I'm kind of nervous with that, and as you can see, I'm nervous. I'm still nervous, and
Don't be nervous.
okay, thanks, Bob. And as you could see, I'm interview a lot of great guys from IT world, and I imagine that doing the same thing in English in a live, yeah, this put a lot of pressure on me. But let's gonna start here because today we have a very special guest, and this guy, it's a guy that I'm following for the last 3 to 4 years on social network. We have chatting some things on LinkedIn. I have read his book, yeah, and I'm very happy to have you here today. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to announce that we have here today on Golden Talks Bobby Kurtz. Hi, Bob.
Hey guys, hi everybody.
Yeah, and Bobby, and after this start that make us kind of crazy here, let's start asking how long have you been working as an IT professional?
Oh, an IT professional. Oh, that's probably, I think last time I counted 25 years. It's probably if you consider my age and everything else, 25 years is pretty much half my life. So, because
Right,
I started it in IT when I was probably 18, going into the United States Army, doing
right,
IT work for the United States Army as a systems administrator, and then did that for I think a total of almost 10 years, 8 years, 9 years, something like that. And then came out of the Army, went into civilian life, and was doing senior systems administration stuff, doing all the sysadmin work, setting up hardware networks and all that fun stuff. And then 5 years after that, I made the transition. Made the transition over to DBA, and then from there is just kind of this has just kind of my career just kind of took off a little bit, and so for the last 25 years that's all I've been doing is IT work. So
right. So everything started when you went to the army, and after that you uh, started with this IT warden, and then you started working as a DBA, right?
correct, yeah, it's being a sysadmin and then being a DBA, it just kind of it all meshes together, because one thing I always say that there's no direct path to being a DBA, right?
Right.
Because most colleges, most universities teach either systems administration, business functionality, or they teach the science side of it. That's the computer science and programming. But there's no direct degree program to get you to being a DBA. So career wise, you kind of start off in one path and then you wind up being a DBA because you start seeing the value of data. And then if you talk about the name of this talk show, we talk about data in general, then it becomes very more and more important as we start moving things around, right? Because data stagnant, that doesn't help anybody. But if you can move data from one machine to the other, then it becomes useful. It becomes those things. So just over the course of time, being a DBA, being a sysadmin, DBA, so on and so forth, is just how it's just a natural progression of a career, if you ask me.
Right, that's very good. That's very good, Bobby. And I can see here that we have some guys here. So once again, thank you very much, everyone that it's watching here. Right, so we have some comments here. Thanks for don't worry, my friend. Yes, this is very helpful. So you told one thing, Bob, that it's very interesting. We here in Brazil, I think almost all the DBAs feel the same. There is any any university, if I would say that teaches you to be a DBA. You have computer science, computer engineering, information system technology, and so on. But a DBA we also don't have here. You need to find this in some specific courses and things like that, right?
Well, yeah, well, true. A lot of degree courses will teach you what a database is, how to build a table, how to use referential integrity, how to insert a row, delete a row, update a row, all those
Hmm.
wonderful things. But it's just a small corner piece of your degree program. It's just really more of here's how you program against this, here's how you do this with the database, but they neglect the attributes of management of a database, operational uses of a database. How do
Right.
you scale a database? How do you use high availability of a database? And much less, how do you move data between databases?
Yes, and we have a
and so,
comment here. Sorry. Yeah, we have a comment here say that data movement with purpose. This is a good point, right?
yeah, yeah, data movement with purpose is I think
Purpose.
any company who is in the replication space is moving data with purpose. Now, the key word here is purpose, right? Is that what is your end goal of moving that particular data? Are you moving that data to a data warehouse? Are you moving that data to a data lake, building data pipelines, moving it for streaming analytics purposes? So how do you move data into these new architectures like Lambda, Kafka, event processing, and those type of things
Right.
is where you really have to start thinking about data movement with a purpose, right?
Right.
And how do you get there? And so GoldenGate for the longest time for I think while I was at Oracle, we did the math and we came up with GoldenGate's been around for about 25 years, the product itself. Um, and so the guys who wrote GoldenGate, I met a few of the original guys who wrote it, a bunch of great, smart guys. For a product to be around 25 years and still be relevant and to move and transform throughout the 2.5 decades that it's been here, it says something about the product, but it's also lends to where the industry is going in terms of how do we move data from point A to point B with purpose, with scalability, and ensure maximum availability of those products. And every company who's in the replication space, not only Oracle with GoldenGate, but you got HVR, that which is high volume replicator, that which is some of the original GoldenGate guys are over there.
Hmm.
You've got another company like Click who bought the replication tool Tunity, who's doing that, and then you've got another one out there, really small niche player called Stream. So a lot of guys who were involved in GoldenGate at the very beginning, 25 years ago, have have broken off and started making some of these other companies. And so it's just a testament to the product itself and where the architectures are going and how do we need to move data with purpose overall.
Right, that's good. And we also have here another question asking when it's best to use Golden
Yeah,
Gates
so
and
so so good beer. Good beer,
right.
guys.
So I have here water, right, Bob?
Well, I will let you get away with water because I got water right here too. So,
Yeah. Right. And so, as you were saying, so what do you like to drink? Beer, water, anything else?
uh, I have to have caffeine, right?
This
I
is
usually,
important for DBA life, right?
yeah, um, yeah, caffeine is like if you are a DBA or anybody in the IT, caffeine is your friend to some degree.
It's like a
So I
prerequisite, right?
kind of, yeah. And
Uh,
so I wind up. I do not drink coffee. So sorry to everybody in Argentina who drinks coffee. I don't do or Colombia. I don't do coffee. My wife does, but I usually do teas. I'm more of the British person
mm,
doing the teas, right?
okay,
Um,
okay.
but but yeah, I drink tea first. I try to drink tea first thing in the morning to get my initial shot of caffeine, and then by lunchtime I'm usually drinking a Coke or something like
Uh,
that, and then I
Coke, it's
try
a
to
good one.
tailor off. Yeah, and then I try to tailor off with water. But because of this event tonight, you convinced me to drink a beer. So
I am convinced you should drink a beer. Okay, let me drink a little bit of water. No, it's just a broke. Everyone knows what happens on the background, right? Yeah.
all right, well, yeah, I don't want to sidetrack us here because I know I'm looking at the live feed and our conversation here. But there's a couple of questions that popped up here. I
Yes.
think I want to
Sure.
just touch on.
Yeah. Okay. You
Um,
can pick up one. Choose one.
yeah, when is there's actually two of them here I want to answer. The one about HBR. When would you recommend HBR over GoldenGate?
Right.
I wouldn't really recommend one or the other, but to me personally, being a entrepreneur now, and being that I'm in the data replication space, data movement space, it's really going to drive what are the sources and what are the targets of where we're going, right? Oracle GoldenGate is very good at moving data from Oracle to Oracle to SQL Server, pulling some of these bigger platform type things out, right? Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, what's some of the other ones? Teradata. Well, Teradata is only a target. DB2, some of the bigger platforms, GoldenGate's excellent at pulling those out. If you want to get SAP HANA, for example, right? Oracle will not touch SAP HANA with GoldenGate, right? They will not do it. But HBR will. HBR can pull SAP HANA and put it into SAP HANA if you wanted to. So HBR can do that. So there's a lot of niche use cases that I would say it would boil down to between GoldenGate and HBR. I would look at the structure of the source and targets before making a decision. Now, one of the benefits of HBR that which I think is good is the fact that HBR has learned a lot of lessons from GoldenGate,
Right.
pre-Oracle, because a lot of the guys at HBR are pre-Oracle GoldenGate guys, and they've brought in some of the things that they couldn't do back then into HBR. So both products are very good replication tools, very well managed tools, very well designed tools, and they give you a lot of capabilities to move data. So you just got to look at the source and target platforms, what you're trying to do. But if you're looking at medium-sized companies overall, if you want to look at it from a price point, money, if you look at it from that standpoint, HBR, I would be say medium-sized business to enterprise. GoldenGate, I would go all enterprise, right? And so that's the two areas I would look at for those two products. So hopefully that answers the question for Ricardo. To the other question here from Bruno that I think is interesting is to load data into Autonomous Data Warehouse. We have three tools: GoldenGate, Data Pump, SQL Loader. We are in 2020, and indeed GoldenGate is still very relevant. Good point. Well, I'll tell you how relevant GoldenGate is here with the Autonomous Data Warehouse or the Autonomous databases. If you go out to my company website, you'll actually find a white paper out there called actually moving Oracle data moving Oracle database to Oracle Autonomous Data Warehouse, and actually show you how you can do this very clearly, very efficiently. You don't have to get Data Pump involved. You don't have to get SQL Loader involved and stuff. Did we lose something?
Yeah, something happened. Today it's happened a lot of things here. So we are trying to solve that. It's something of Zoom. Okay, now I think you're gonna be back. Let me see. Because this is everything of this live, it's new for us. So we are trying some new things, but sometimes it works, sometimes not. So I'm sorry for that, guys. But we are solving this in a few minutes or seconds, hope so. But nope, not this one. Oh yes,
yeah, there
now.
we go. There we go. So
I'm sorry for that.
no, that's all right. I'll just quickly rehash what I was saying is that using Oracle GoldenGate to move your data from Oracle database into Autonomous Data Warehouse or Autonomous databases in general is a very efficient way to actually do it. And so I've written a white paper on that. You can find it on my company website over at RheoData.com, and it'll give you all the details about it as well. So you can load the autonomous data warehouse without data pump and SQL loader if you really wanted to. So it's a lot of capabilities that you can do with
Right.
that.
Right. Bobby, let's just ask you, your network, is it fine? Are you using Wi-Fi? Maybe not sure if it's kind of
No,
low, but it's
well, yeah, I'm
good.
probably on Wi-Fi. Yeah, I'm probably on Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Because, yeah, I think now it's got back. Get back.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on.
Well,
Uh,
hold on, hold on. Let me. I'll just do this real quick because people in the family probably have TV streaming.
right. Okay, so meanwhile, let me say to everyone that it's watching here, guys, and if you are not subscribed in our channel yet, please subscribe in your channel. If you are liking this video, just give your like here. Yes, I'm not a DBA, I'm a YouTuber sometimes, right? I'm trying to make it good as a YouTuber does.
Well,
All
hey,
right.
we always try to do things, but I think this is quite interesting. The fact that the live feed, I'm seeing questions just pop up here that I can answer as we're going. So I
Right.
think our whole script might have gotten thrown out the window, Gilson.
Right.
Um, so Bruno, hopefully I answered your question on the autonomous data warehouse stuff. So you can go find that over on my website. How opinion of moving data from on-prem to cloud, Andre? I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a hybrid world, right?
That's true.
Because it's going to be hybrid because you're going to get like the EU, for example, has restrictions on what you can do with personal data. Here in the United States, we have what we call HIPAA laws, which is medical information laws. So that banking, financial information, that type of stuff, I don't see going to the cloud. I see it being more of on-premise data center type stuff for there. The cloud networks, the cloud architectures, the cloud, everything that we put into the cloud, in my opinion, will probably wind up there will be some production stuff for small, medium-sized businesses. Some
Hmm.
enterprise stuff will go into the cloud. But I think dev and test will have everything dev and test wise will go into the cloud. But when it gets down
Hmm.
to niche industries, when you get down into financial, medical, stuff like that, it's going to be a hybrid.
Right.
So the need to move data is going to be very well needed in terms of being able to move from on-prem to cloud, do what you want to do up there, move it down. And you're seeing a lot of this and part of the cloud thing is also big data, streaming platforms and moving data into those platforms. So that's where I think it's going. I could be 100% wrong, but I think that's
I
where it's
don't think
going.
so.
And then, but the
Yeah.
movement of that here in the States, it's I will say on some things the States is very cutting edge on a lot of things. We try to be, hey, we're out here, we're out in front of everybody. But at the same time, we're also trying to be reserved. A lot of companies are not jumping to that ship yet. They're starting to make that turn, but you got big enterprises that use Oracle databases, and then making those huge investments into cloud is really kind of a hard thing to turn. If you start a project on cloud, then it's easier to adjust. But companies like Amazon, Azure, Microsoft Azure, and Google are really the front runners in cloud. Oracle's making up some ground with it, but so that would I would say the top four. But Oracle's the only one that provides the encryption and all these other things built in. And you see cases like you saw probably a year ago, last August, where Amazon got hacked by an inside source, and none of their stuff was encrypted, even though they're selling it as being encrypted. So it's a lot of things which is, I think, from a business standpoint, I would worry about putting everything into the cloud. So I would say it's very hybrid type things. So hopefully that answers your question for you and where we're going here in the U.S.
Right, right. And we have also more some comments
uh,
here and questions. I
oh,
can see
oh,
here
oh,
that Alex Zabala
I
is
got
saying the baby is not sleeping, and just a comment here that we have the opportunity. Alex Zabala, congratulations! You have a baby. I think yesterday or some days ago. So congratulations, and I hope God bless your child, right? And he's commenting here that let's learn from the GG Master. Yeah, and that's true.
yes, well, I appreciate the compliment, Alex, but Alex is really the master of everything because the man's got more certifications than anybody else I know,
That's
and
true.
and working with Alex when I worked at Ecotech, working with Alex, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to him. See each other at conferences. Me and him would actually talk about small things. We would never really get into the big thing because Alex is a very reserved type person, in my opinion. But me and him, I thought we got along pretty well, and I appreciate the compliment overall. Um, and that's that's a huge compliment coming from somebody at Ecotech as well, because if as we were talking about careers earlier at the beginning of this, my career has taken quite a few different pathways, and through Incotech was one of those. And everybody at Incotech, because I know Incotech hired a bunch of people in Brazil, but if you work at Incotech, you should pat yourself on the back, because everybody at that company is very much top tier talent in the
That's
in
true.
the Oracle space, if not the other spaces that they're working in. So it it was a very big honor to work with those guys and everything else. And that's part of gives me the confidence to actually step out on my own as well out here with RheoData and everything else. So if hats off to the guys over at Incotech and
Right.
stuff, or now, excuse me, Accenture Incotech Group. So
Yeah. Enkiteki, it's like an Avengers team, right? Most all the top
um,
guys it's working there.
yeah.
Or already or
Um,
working sometimes in there, right?
Correct. Now, as far as Ricardo's has got another question here about in the U.S. According to my experience, do
Right.
DBAs typically
Sure.
hire out the Golden Gate functionality? I think it's based around what they're trying to do with Golden Gate and how are they. If it's a big organization like financial organizations,
Mm,
sometimes they want everybody in house. But Golden Gate is one of the products that which I think is it's very easy to learn. It's very easy to get the grasp of going from point A to point B. Okay, one way replication is very simple to set up. Hey, I want to copy these 14 tables, move them over here, put them into the database, sync the data. Pretty simple. Where it gets deep very quickly is bi-directional, right? Moving data
yeah.
back, because then you have to start worrying about conflict detection and resolutions. You've got to start worrying about primary key sets on both sides, sequences, all these other little bitty nuanced things you have to worry about, that which Oracle has tried to address inside of the current releases of Golden Gate with like auto
Mm,
CDR. But they've actually hamstringed it a little bit because of, like, to get auto CDR to work in 12.3, you have to be on database 12.2 on both sides,
right.
right? So auto CDR doesn't do you any good there. Then when you want to go to 18C database, you want to go to auto CDR, you have to be on 18C on both sides for unique key constraints to be used in CDR.
Mm,
So there's things like that, and you're going to start seeing, just from even though I'm a former product manager from Oracle, but you start
yeah.
seeing you're going to start seeing some of these things from Oracle, where you have to be on certain versions for Golden Gate to work a certain way. That which I think is good, but bad at the same time, because you're driving everybody towards this integrated product stack on Oracle. What does that really mean for the heterogeneous platforms? And so it's a lot of things that you have to worry about there. So that's a quick explanation. But what companies do, a lot of companies that I've seen, is they usually farm it out to people when they get into these harder use cases. They want the expert knowledge to come in and go, hey, here's how you got to set up your active. Here's how you have to set up your multi-master. Here's how you have to do your CDR. So as the use cases get more and more complex, the companies typically hire out that architecture to actually for the consultant to come in and cross train with the expert, and then you walk out and let them manage it, and then when they call you every so often to say,
Right.
hey, I broke it, can you tell me how to fix it? And
Yeah.
so I dealt with a lot of that, like I said, with the Incotech folks. I did a lot of that over at Incotech. Did a lot of that at Bias in my career. Did it, from a high level standpoint while I was at Oracle.
Hmm.
So a lot of different things like that overall, which was beneficial.
Yeah, this is very good. Here in Brazil, we actually I would say that I hope Brazil should be sometimes like US in Golden Gate world same because uh, there is a lot of people here that just learn a little bit of Golden Gate and say, okay, now I'm an expert. I know the one replication. So, but let me now ask you one
Well,
question. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. I think the
uh,
internet is kind of slow. Right.
even though people give me a lot of compliments, yeah, even though a lot of people give me a lot of compliments on being a Golden Gate expert, I still hesitate to
Because you are
use
the
that
guy, right?
word, expert. Be, do what? No, I just don't use that word in my own vocabulary because I know that there's always stuff I can learn.
Oh,
Are we okay?
yeah, it seems that we are suffering some kind of slowness here. Okay. But so let's move on, and let's see if
Yeah.
everyone is listen to us fine. Just put in a comment if you are fine, and if you are listening in the video, okay? But let's move on. And I was
Okay.
up to ask you one thing because of your last answer. So um, you are working on Oracle recently as a director of product management of Oracle Golden Gate, right? Can you share with us a
Mm-hmm.
little bit how was the experience and how you started to focus your career in Oracle Golden Gate?
Um, how did I focus my career on Oracle Golden Gate? That really has to do while I was at in between two consulting companies, Bias Corp here in Atlanta, and then of course the Incotech Group. And so when I left Bias, I was doing a lot of conferences. That's where I met Alex. That's where I met a few other people. Um, and then I went from Bias to Incotech, got included in that group, and was very, like I said earlier, very, very grateful for that. And
Hmm.
at that point in time, I was still doing a lot of Oracle Enterprise Manager presentations, right? Doing a lot of presentation works on those type of things and everything. And then it was probably about a year into my conference life, conference, whatever you want to call it. I started seeing that, it went from really 2 or 3 people talking about Oracle Enterprise Manager to 7 or 8. The conferences kept having more and more of us talking about OEM. And then I was just kind of like, well, what else can I do to break out from this crowd? And I was like, well, I've been doing Golden Gate work, so I'll just talk about some of the things I've done with Golden Gate. And that's where I started really talking about Golden Gate, really starting to get ingrained in Golden Gate, and really started to understand the replication space and what's going on. Um, and so it was really good to do that because I kind of set myself out because it took about 2 years for everybody to really catch on and start talking about Golden Gate at conferences. And during that process, I was talking to the product managers at Oracle about Golden Gate, about what's coming, what's happening, and then I wound up getting in. Just they asked me about being a product manager, and I was like, well, I've never done it. I'll give it a shot.
Hmm.
And so I got in the door went over to Oracle, left Incotech, went over to Oracle, and was there for 3 years. Once you're behind the curtain of Oracle, it's a whole different world. It's a different world in terms of,
Yes.
all the frustration points that which we have on the outside here of going, why don't I get that patch faster? Why can't I get this? Why can't support do this?
It's
You
like an
learn
open door
really
that you start to
quickly from
understand what
when
it's
you're
happening. Yeah.
yeah when you're a PM, you start to really understand what happens in the background, why you're not getting a patch to a particular issue
Hmm.
immediately. You're getting it maybe 2 or 3 weeks down the road or something like that. So the experience overall was like that. So you take what you know of GoldenGate or of the product that which you've been working on for years, and then you start marrying it up to the developers on the inside, and you start going, I see what's happening. And then so you start learning a little bit more about what the coming features are. How does this feature really work? And I'll give you a case in point here, or a scenario. I'm sure if we could ask everybody to raise their hands, I would ask, has anybody seen the COM error message inside of your GGS error file? COM, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
A lot of people would probably go, hmm. A lot of people would probably be like, yeah, I've seen it, but what is it? COM, that's really a reference to you don't have enough virtual memory going on for the transactions to come through the system. And so the way to fix that is that you have to jack up the memory on the hardware, and also if you're doing the integrated extracts, increase your stream's pool size. So that's something that which I only found out once I went inside Oracle and talked to the developer who was actually running that part of extract. And it was like, okay, now I get it. And so you got to look at all these little things. So you learn a lot while you're on the inside at the same time. I guess that's where I'm going.
Right. So I suppose that was now a very great opportunity to see how these things work from I would say, the vendor side or things like that. Right. And we talked a
Yeah,
lot of things.
it's definitely a
Okay.
different point of view.
Yeah. I think we are facing some slowing on the connection. Right now, I don't know why. We talked many times before, and this didn't happen. But we are facing some slowness on the
Yeah.
network just now that we are live, unfortunately. But let's move on and continues. You said a lot of things about your experience that was very nice and interesting. Also regarding your career in Oracle and how you started to work as DBA and Golden Gate, and all of this. Did you imagine that you was working with IT and things like that when you were a kid? What was your dream when you was a child? Share this for us.
Oh, uh, the funny thing about it was is that I think as you and me talked before about this, is that I grew up in Germany. I came back from Germany when I was 25. I grew up over there. I was born in Heidelberg, Germany, and then I grew up over there until I was probably about 13, 14. Came back to the States, and then went back over as an adult for a few years. And the big thing that I love about Germany is the history, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the history. So growing up, I'm a big history person, and so at first it was I wanted to be an archaeologist. Go dig around in the desert somewhere, probably in Egypt, dig up dinosaur bones or whatever else.
Right.
Uh,
Archaeology is very different from IT
as I got to
world.
college
This is
age, I was like, I really wanted to be a yeah.
yeah.
And then when I got to college age, I wanted to be a history teacher or a history major, because I grew up in Europe. I understand the history, and I want to do those type of things. And it was just one of those things to where I joined the Army more or less to get college money. And then when I did that, I said, "Hey, I want a job that can translate the civilian life into being out of the Army." And it was just wound up dropping in my lap of being a programmer or a network administrator, and that's where I've been ever since. And so throughout my college career, I just focused on computer stuff and went that route.
Mm.
So in reality, I wanted to be a history major or a history teacher or whatever else. But here I am being a Golden Gate person.
Right. The Golden Gate Master, I would say, right? I think anyone will agree with me on that.
uh, uh, like I said, I'm very grateful for all the compliments and everything else. But I try to be humble about this stuff as well. So.
Right. And Bobby, if
Oh, okay. Hold
you
on. Ricardo's asking a question about the
right.
next book. So
Sure.
this book is
This
release one. Okay, this is release one.
yeah,
I am
you are
working
saying
on.
this one,
I
right?
am working on release two. Um, yeah,
Yeah, not that one, this
yeah.
one.
I am working on release two. It's yeah, but I am working on release two. That which is going. Release two is not going to be necessarily the same book. It's going to be more driven by the microservices platform. There's going to be some things that are that's going to be the same in the books, but I can tell you right now, the first three chapters are complete rewrites, and they are very much driven by the microservices architecture that Golden Gate's released in 12.3. So
Right.
second book is coming. Timeline. A Press would like me to have it done by June.
Right.
Um,
And for
but I don't
Brazil,
think
we are also wants to know
we're
when
in.
this book will be released here in Brazil.
Yeah, A Press wants it done by June. I'm nowhere near finished with it, and that's partly because of I left Oracle. I'm trying, this coronavirus business has
Yeah.
handicapped me a little bit with some other things. So I'm working on. I wrote chapter four. I rewrote chapter four to be more driven by an earlier question that we talked about tonight with the autonomous data warehouse. That's going to be chapter four, and then everything else is going to move back. What's going to keep roughly stay the same is going to be chapter six. We'll probably move to chapter seven, but chapter six on Veridata is going to stay the same. And then a few other things will be changing. So I'm hoping if I just get things in line and get writing time, hopefully I'll be done by July, late July. That's what I'm hoping for.
Hmm.
But you never know, because if I get it out to A Press in late July, then you're probably looking at maybe October, November release cycle, something like that. So I don't know exactly. Don't hold me to it. Don't hold me to that timeline. I'm just know that I'm working on it because I think Golden Gate's a good product, and I think that it deserved a book 4 years ago, and the microservices architecture it deserves a book that's justifying of it as well, because Oracle has changed how they're doing replication completely.
Right.
Within this first book, when you want to interact with Golden Gate on just from an administration standpoint or anything else, you have to log into those servers to get there. Microservices changes that whole dynamic,
Right.
and it's gonna force HVR or Click or Tunity, Stream, and everybody else to rethink how they're doing a few things as well. Um, data movement is data movement. Moving data types don't change, but how you interact with the replication stream is.
Hmm.
Microservices for Golden Gate, if you haven't looked at it, I would strongly look at it, because it's going to be Oracle's way forward with it, and it opens up so much remote administration capabilities from a web page down through RESTful API interactions. If anybody went to Open World 3 years ago, 2017, I wrote the first hands-on lab for Open World for microservices, and I did the whole thing in scripts. to where you didn't have to log into the actual VM. You could actually just sit outside the VM and run those scripts and have build out everything. And I kept that model all the way up until last year when I was told I had to do the actual interfaces, the web interfaces and stuff. But I think the real power in the microservices platform is, yes, Oracle has addressed the GUI interface issue that everybody beats Oracle up about, but they've also given you a lot of flexibility now to run GoldenGate in a dynamic environment, to build out extracts. I'll give you an example. Build an extract from GGSCI takes you maybe 4 to 5 command lines to actually do it. And you typically throw that in an obey file and say go. So ideally you get it down to one thing, but that obey file has to sit on that server to be ran. In microservices, I can write a JSON document and then run it through a curl command, and have that one JSON document will actually build the extract, create the parameter file, do the begin
all the
now
dirty
command,
work. Yeah.
do all the dirty work for you, and start the extract all in one command.
Yeah.
And then and as we talked about earlier, the architecture I set out, wrote a white paper about, and I'll do a presentation on next week, is written all in those RESTful API interfaces, and it just makes it so much easier. The web pages are really nice. And now the other thing that gets even better with that, besides the RESTful APIs, so if you're a DevOps org or DevOps oriented person, microservices is going to help you out tremendously. If you're more of a traditional administrator who wants to use GGSCI is no longer relevant in microservices. It's gone. It's gone. But what they did, they actually wrote another version of it called Admin Client, which is actually really a thin client that runs RESTful APIs on the background. And the nice thing about it was, if you got a Mac laptop like a lot of us do, you're kind of out of luck a little bit, because it won't work. But if you're running a Windows machine, you can install GoldenGate binaries directly onto your Windows machine and run Admin Client right from your laptop and connect to all these environments. So it gets the environment even more secure and things like that. So microservices is really the way it's going to go, and I'm trying to address a lot of those things inside of the book as well. And everything. So it's just a lot of things. A lot of things have changed when you make that leap from classic architecture, what we call classic architecture now in GoldenGate, to microservices. It's a huge leap forward, and it's a lot of things to take in. And I'll be honest with you, it took me maybe 2 to 3 months to get my head completely around how the whole process works in terms of matching it up to classic, to matching it up to microservices, because the concept of a data pump is gone. You no longer have a data pump.
Yeah.
And those type of things. And so underneath my own company, I'm trying to bring that to light for customers and say, you know what, guys, we can move your data very, very efficiently, very cleanly, but here's some capabilities that this enables you to do, and then teach those customers how to do those type of things.
Right.
So that's what's going on with GoldenGate overall. So the book is got a lot of things that hopefully will make the book thicker, but it's also a lot more details.
Right.
So it's just a lot of things that which I have to address down onto. And
so most of these things that you said, and maybe the comparison or the difference from classic and a microservice architecture, all of this new stuff that you had mentioned, and all of these we will find in your book. That's it.
Yeah, and I keep an open. My personal email is out. I've given it out at conferences for years. So I don't have a problem with people emailing me and saying, hey, I got this question or whatever else. I kind of encourage it. The only thing I ask is that people give me a day or two or maybe even a week to address it and figure out what's going on. Because even with microservices, building a GoldenGate environment is very taxing. Um, and I've been working on ways to build it in Vagrants. I published a Docker image under RheoData to where you can go down and download microservices in a container and play with it. And so I've been trying to come up with ways to make it a little easier for everybody to use overall.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right, that's good. So we are expecting here that your book finished. So good luck on that, and be quick because we are excited here, especially here in Brazil. But I think everyone that is listening to us also wants to have this book in hands. I am the first one that wanted this book. So let us know when
well,
it's finished and when we'll be able to buy it. Okay?
I certainly will. That's
Right.
a, I'm sure. Once I get it done and it's out the door, a lot of people will be happy, especially A Press. It's just it's
Yeah,
to be
right.
honest with you. To be honest with you, when I wrote the first one, I wrote the first one really just more about um, because I just wanted to write it. I was at a spot in my career where I wanted to write it, and and now that I know that there's so many people out here that really want the second revision, it's kind of like now it's pressure to make sure it's done right. Instead, not necessarily just get the book out, we'll make sure it's done right. And so that's what I'm trying to do.
Right, that's good. I have here some comments, and Erica is saying that she's gonna be the second one to buy your book. But meanwhile, let me say just one thing. If you don't have Bob Curtis' book, you can use this one. I used it last year, and I can say that's a very good book. It's not because he's here, right? But it's because it's a very good book, right? You'll not regret, it's the right word in English, I'm not sure. Sorry for my poor vocabulary, but it's a good book. And if you don't have, I recommend
Appreciate
you.
it.
And we are,
Well,
okay, go ahead, please.
yeah, no, and with the book out, with that particular book out, and with the second one coming, I'm doing my own consulting company. I'm just going to do a shameless plug.
Yes, tell
My own,
about a little bit more about this your company that it's called the Real Data, right? Share a little
yeah,
bit with
Rio
us,
Data.
right?
Yeah, it's Rio Data. It's RHEO. And if you look it up in dictionary.com or whatever, it's actually a Greek word or a Greek hyphenated word that means flow or current. And so Rio Data is really more of like flow current or whatever else. And so it's kind of a play off of the whole Golden Gate mindset of moving data and everything else. I've started my own consulting company. We are here to actually help customers implement Golden Gate, implement HVR, um, to go on premise or to the cloud, and to scale out these architectures for customers as need be. So there will be definitely the website's up there. You can go out there and check that out, RheoData.com. But there's all kinds of things going on there that I'm pushing out. So it's been a process just getting things put in place and getting everything ready to go. But we're here, we're ready to help. I know my Incotech friends. They probably don't want me taking business from their side of the world. I get it, but it's something that we all love to do. Is just help customers and get the products out there and get data moving. So
Right. So, guys, if you want to know a little bit more about real data, you can see the description and this website that we put here in the description of this video, right? And Bobby, I also know a guy in Brazil that it started his own company, something related to Golden Gate. Maybe if you wanna some help with anything, you can tell me and I will talk with him, okay?
okay.
Right. Uh,
So
and
what is the next question we got there, Gilson? What's the
yeah,
next question?
yes, let's see here. Uh, So can you we talk a lot of things here and there is any advice that you can share with everyone that is watching us about your career, about your experience? What can you tell about for the guys that is watching us and especially the ones that is starting his career?
Oh, that's a good question. It's listen to the people around you. That's probably one of the things I would say, because you know it's I have a military background, so I look at things in a different way than most other people, I believe, and that's because I look at things of there's no problem that can't be solved, right? How do we tackle this problem? How do we solve this problem? You know, and I give that credit to the military in terms of how do you get to that point. But I think at the same time, as I was first in the military, and then in my early on in my career, I had the opportunity to bring one or two people along at the very least to say, hey, you know, right out of college, say, here you go, give them a chance and move forward. And, you know, and just be positive with them and say, you can do this. It's going to be hard, but you can do this. You just got to keep working at it and keep understanding, ask questions. And then if you screw up, don't be afraid to screw up. Now, if you go deleting somebody's production database, yeah, be very afraid there, but because you might not have a job.
Take some care, it's needed,
But
right?
yeah, but don't be afraid to ask for help. You will
Right.
find a lot of the people, myself, Alex, who's here as well, Carrie Osborne, who else? Fritz Hoagland, Martin Bach,
Oh my God,
Bill
just
Kendall.
amazing guys.
Um, yeah, a lot of amazing guys I just named here.
Yeah,
But I will tell you the one thing that we all do is if you ask for help or you ask a question, we don't tell you no, go away. We tell you, let me show you how you can help. And so that's why I'd say I would really just say don't be afraid to progress and move forward. And when you get to a point and you're stuck, ask for help. Ask, you
right.
know, and don't you know, as we've been on this call, don't, you know, I appreciate all the compliments and everything else, but the people that you hold onto a pedestal, right? The people you put on that pedestal, what's to say that you can't be on that pedestal? What's to say that you can't achieve the same thing, right? And the people who helped me get to where I'm at is the same people I just named, that which we've all helped each other get there. So, you know, and that leads into the Oracle ACE program, for example. That's a great resource of people. You know, a lot of people, I think, look at it as an individual achievement. But the point behind the Oracle ACEs is really to be community advocates and to give advice to people of how to do these particular things. And so you just have to kind of drive forward with that and just be, if you see somebody at a conference, walk up to them and talk to them,
Right.
you know, but don't be offended. At the same time, don't be offended if somebody goes, I don't have time to talk, and walks away from you because they probably got something else on their mind. But find an avenue to talk to these people and say, hey, how do I do this? Because I can't tell you how many times while I was at Incotech, Martin Bach had helped me out with a question, or Fritz had called me and asked a question about GoldenGate or something like that. You know,
Right.
it's once you build that network, I guess that's where I'm going with this. Once you build that network of people and get to know each other, we're all here to help. You know, it's like you and me, Gilson. You reached out to me asking a GoldenGate question. I was like, here you go. I wasn't really worried about it, but this is how you move data, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
so
true.
that's the advice that I would give somebody, would be really to find somebody who you want to put on that pedestal, but put yourself up there with them and learn. Don't ever stop learning overall, you know, because
Right.
because at the end of the day, technology is going to change. Technology is going to move ahead without you,
Some
and you have to,
improvements, but
yeah.
yeah,
So if you can learn and keep learning, you're going to have a job, you're going to have a career. You just got to keep moving overall. And so, you know, and the names I mentioned, like I said, all those guys are great guys, and I still look to them today if I have a problem or whatever else. I can reach out to them and say, hey guys, you know, I haven't seen a few of those guys in years, but they're just a bunch of good guys. And you'll find out also that when you do these, if you do consulting on a global scale and you travel and and you know these people around the world, when you go to a particular country, you have somebody that you can call up and say, "Hey, let's go grab a beer. Let's go grab something." You might not
Yeah.
fit into it might not fit into their time schedule,
Hmm.
but you at least have an avenue that you can say, "Hey, I don't want to sit in a hotel room all day. I want to go out and talk to somebody after work and stuff like that." And so it opens up a lot of access points, but you have to be willing to keep learning.
Right. Right, that's good. So, Bobby, can you imagine that we already had passed the 60 minutes? We was
I'm just
very,
getting started. I'm
yeah,
just getting started.
yeah, me too. Let's drink some beer, right? Oops, water. Cheers. So,
No,
just 16 minutes passed, and we are, I'm sorry, we are almost in the end of our talk, and it was very nice to have you here, right? And we
no
talked
problem.
about a lot of things, and well, 60 minutes, it was like a breath, right? And one thing that I wanted to ask you is, when will you come to Brazil, Bobby?
Okay, well, I'll answer that question in a second, but we gotta give a little bit more time to Bruno's question here
Sure,
because I think
sure.
Erica's got the same
We'll,
question. So,
sure.
as far as coming to Brazil, I've been, as I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Europe to a degree, and everything else. So I've been the only places in this world on the globe I have not been has been Asia, China, China, Japan, and stuff. I've been to Australia, fortunately, but a Asia major and South America, I haven't really been to. But if I ever get a chance to come to Brazil, I would love to. I would love to do a project down there at some point. Being that a new startup company in the consulting space, I've got to get projects rolling first and stuff. And so I get that rolling, and then if a project comes up down in Brazil, I'll be willing to come down there for a bit and do everything. I think
Sure.
the consulting game is going to change a little bit though, in terms of how we do consulting work. Because Incotech, Bias, other consulting companies, if they're really smart, we do things remotely as much as possible. RheoData is going to do the same thing.
Right.
Be kind of modeled after some of those guys that I've worked with in the past. There's a couple of differences because you don't want to be a complete copy, but I think the model of consultancy overall is going to change to be a lot more remote based. A lot of people are doing a lot more. This whole quarantine business has proven that a lot more people can do a lot more things from home and still function and keep the world moving. So I think that's going to be the case. But if somebody wanted to find me a project in Brazil and say, "Hey, come on down here," I have no problem. I'll come down to
Yeah,
Sao Paulo and check it
sure.
out.
It's
Um,
gonna be for sure a pleasure to us. And if this happened, let me know, and it will be very nice to uh, receive you here in Brazil. And also, if I
yeah,
know something that we can uh, uh, bring some work to real data, I will let you know, right?
well, appreciate it. Now let me address Bruno's question here real
Yes, it's
real
a
real
good
quick.
question, right?
Current back and forth between Oracle and Postgres. Oracle, if you paid attention to the certification matrix in GoldenGate 12.2, you had Postgres support only on the apply side. So you had a replicat that could apply in the Postgres. Well, Oracle made the decision at one point when 12.3 was released to take out Postgres support. So Postgres support was not in 12.3. We had no Oracle. I say we, but because I used to be there, but Oracle in 2017 all the way up until now has no Postgres support. So they realized that was a mistake apparently. And so coming in current releases, what was originally slated, as far as I know of, I can't guarantee this. I'm not a PM. I'm not any of this other
Hmm.
stuff. But from the last time that I knew of, they're putting Postgres support back in the GoldenGate in 20.1. And when is that going to be released? I can't tell you. I have a rough timeline, but I don't know because I'm out of the loop. But 20.1 will have full capture and apply support is what was planned. So whether or not it comes out in 20.1, I can't guarantee you. But Oracle is saying that they're going to put Postgres support back in. So doing migrations from Oracle to Postgres is going to get easier with GoldenGate because of that purpose.
Good.
But I think at the same time, I think it's a double-edged sword for Oracle, because it's going to give you, if you look at Postgres to Postgres replication and using GoldenGate, great, you got a win there. But if you're looking at it from an Oracle standpoint and people moving off of Oracle, moving to Postgres because it's cheaper, it's less expensive, support costs are minimal, stuff like that, then Oracle might lose some market share in terms of the database realm. So it's a double-edged sword on putting Postgres back into GoldenGate, but they have to do it. So it's, as I said, last time I knew of when I was working for Oracle, it was supposed to come out in 20.1. I don't know if it's still in 20.1. I don't know if it might be in 21, 22. I don't know. I just know that it's not there in 19 and earlier. And the last thing I was told prior to making my exit was it was in 20.1. So, and with that, I don't know what direction GoldenGate's going to go after that. But if you're looking for just a Leonardo's just pumping me for time here, 15 minutes. If you're looking for a stable platform of microservices, okay, and this would be which need to understand about 12.3. 12.3 came out in August 2017. Okay, 12.3 came out with a classic architecture of microservices. Classic, at the time, the roadmap was we're keeping classic with microservices all the way through. I got to close out HVR here because it's kind of popping up messages. You keep classic and microservices architecture. So 12.3 came out. 18.1. Does anybody know why we went from 12.3 to 18.1? Can anybody in the chat room answer the question?
Right. Let's see.
Why did Oracle go from 12.3 GoldenGate to 18.1 GoldenGate?
I don't know. Try to
Let's
answer.
see if anybody.
Let's see if someone would answer.
Okay, somebody. Leonardo's close.
Yeah, almost
Leonardo's
there. Good.
Close. Yeah, you are close. It has to do with the version number, right? Because they released 18. GoldenGate 18 was released 3 months after Database 18, so it has to do with the version number. So you're partly right. However, the reason why we changed the version number was to keep it in line with the year, but it was also to keep the code base, right? So when you look at 18, so you had 12.301 come out, all right? So you got GoldenGate 12.301. We released 18. 18 is all the patches to 12.301. So 18 was 12.302. So 18 is the 12.302 version of the original 12.3 code line. Good. 19 is what?
Right.
19.1 GoldenGate is 12.303.
Right.
Okay, we changed the version number simply to keep with the database, but at the same time to get to the support model we wanted to get to, that Oracle wanted to get to. So if you want a consistent release of microservices, go to 19. Go to GoldenGate 19, because on GoldenGate 19 you will have at least 7 years of support. A long-term support release of microservices is on 19. So 20.1, 21.1, and all those others are going to be slightly different. But if you get on the 19, you're guaranteed stability until 2025, I think.
And the code will be preserved, right? As you mentioned.
Yeah. So if you're on 12.3 and you're looking at support release cycles and where do you need to be to maintain support long term, 19.1 is where you want to be. Okay,
Right.
so and that's why I tell customers all the time. That's where you want to go. Now, how do you upgrade from classic architecture to microservices? Does anybody know that answer?
This is a very good question. Let us know how.
Let's see if anybody has the answer.
Sure.
Upgrade from classic architecture to microservices.
Ta-dun, ta-dun.
Nobody's
No.
nobody's got an answer.
People
Okay.
are shy now.
There is no way to upgrade. There is no way.
Alright.
The only way you right now, the only way you can do you yes, crickets,
Crickets.
Leonardo, crickets. The only way
Good
you can
one.
upgrade classic architecture to microservices is by doing a fresh install of GoldenGate. And the reason for that is that we have GoldenGate microservices has a concept of deployments. All right. And deployments are logical representations of your application, of your line of business, or whatever else. And then they are all in a single directory structure, or they can be broken out into multiple directory structures. So all the subdirectories that you create in classic architecture kind of get broken out into a Linux type directory structure in microservices, to where you have new environment variables called $deployment home, $OGG Etsy home,
Mm.
$OGG var home. So there's a lot more in the microservices. So doing a direct one-to-one upgrade is not possible. So how do you solve this problem? You can install a new microservices environment, and you can link Classic into that microservices environment, and then you can do what I call a leapfrog process of upgrading, if you want to do it that way. I'm toying with the idea of digging through the code and trying to figure, or not code, but the directory structures, and toying with where things have to go. Hopefully, Oracle will come out with some sort of migration utility here soon for that exact purpose. I don't know if that's going to happen, but before I left, I was pushing on that button pretty hard, going that if you want the adoption rate of microservices to go up, we got to get a utility or something to do those particular upgrades. So
Right.
so if a customer asks you, how do I upgrade my classic microservices? The sad answer is no, you can't. You have to do a fresh install. But that's why RheoData is here for. To be honest with you, that's why RheoData is here, because
That's a good one.
I've got some of that. Yeah, I've got some of those background information, some of that background stuff on microservices, to where I can help you out, move and those type of things. So um, hopefully this has been a good conversation. And
Yes,
hopefully
yes.
I've given
Can you
everybody
imagine
some
that?
insight. Hopefully I've given everybody some insight on GoldenGate and where I've been, what I'm doing, and everything else. And I
Right.
appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk too as well. I know people probably want more time,
For sure.
but
For sure.
I don't
Maybe we
I don't
can
think
do a
people are.
second part later in some time, right? If you have time too.
Yeah, we can do another one if you want, any time. Um, just let me know,
Appreciate
get it
that.
on my calendar, and we can talk again. And but if I'm sure you're going to give out I think you and me were talking earlier, you're going to give out my contact information or something. So that's perfectly fine. If people want to contact me and ask me about questions and projects and
Yes, we
all
have
that
all
fun
this
stuff,
information in the
um,
description of the
yeah,
video. And also, if you wanna ask
yeah.
some question, you can comment here on the video too, and I will address this through Bobcast, right?
Oh, Erica, you're making it difficult to
Okay.
get off the line here.
Yeah.
Do
That's
I
true.
believe in a future only microservices GG will exist? Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the stated roadmap. That's the stated roadmap for Oracle. They have come out when microservices was released in 12.3. It was the stated direction was they're going microservices. So at some release, I don't know what release,
Hmm.
at some release, Oracle Golden Gate Classic architecture, what we all use traditionally today, will go away, and it will be solely microservices. This change will put pressure on the industry as a whole, in my opinion, in terms of the replication space, where it's going to force HVR, Click, Stream, and all these other guys to either fade away or make the adjustment to go to microservices, because it just gives you so much capability both on-prem and in the cloud. So I think going forward, microservices, you will see a all microservices architecture for Golden Gate. It's just the way it's going to be.
Right. So Leonardo.
Leonardo's being an instigator. He's being an
Yeah,
instigator. Keep
yeah.
sending questions.
Right, that's true, and it's very nice to hear, as he told in person, a guy like you, that it's a master of Golden Gate. So we are very happy to have all of these news here, and I'm very glad to have you also here, Bob. The conversation was great. Of course, if you had more 1 or 2 hours, maybe we'll keep in here and talk and drink some beer too, right? But we can discuss later. Maybe we can do another uh, Golden Talks talking about only technical things and go deeper in this new microservice architecture and so on, right? But
Yeah. Just word of I haven't announced it yet. I guess this will be the first time I'm announcing. I'm going to get a webinar link put out probably tomorrow or over the weekend. But next
hmm,
Thursday, I'm going to hold a webinar
this is good.
on moving your data from Oracle databases into the autonomous database, specifically the autonomous data warehouse on the Oracle free tier. And it addresses the white paper that I released earlier this week.
Right. So
So if you want to get familiar with what I'll be talking about, go out to RheoData.com underneath the products page.
that's
Excuse me,
good. So get this tip,
underneath the
guys.
products page.
Right.
Yeah, underneath the products page, you can go download the white paper, and it goes through all of the RESTful API curl commands that you would use to build and extract and replicate everything and stuff. So I hopefully I'm glad you guys are excited. I greatly appreciate it. But I would love to see you guys on the WebEx on the webinar as well. So and there I'll give you guys more details on how to set the stuff up with not necessarily some code examples, but just more of high level stuff. But I have a whole bunch of links to different things that you can do, and I'll answer microservices questions as well. So
Oh,
hopefully that's the best. That's the best I can do for you right now.
that's amazing. That's very great. We really appreciate that. I am the one of the guys that for sure will take a look and see more information on Real Data website for sure.
Okay.
And Eduardo Claro is saying here one funny thing. He's saying that he will always remember this interview and with 1 hour lag. I suppose he's starting to watch now. Yeah.
Well, hopefully he gets a lot of information out of it. And like I said, you can contact me. You can let me know what questions you got. It's I don't know what else to say, but I appreciate the opportunity, Gilson.
Yes, for sure the
If there's
opportunity is for me. Don't
yeah.
this is for sure. Thank you very much for your time and your attention and your availability. We had some talks before we do this, so I'm very glad to have. And I told you, right? It's not like I don't know the word in English, but I'm not saying because you are here. It's because I'm following you for these last years, watching your work and reading your blog. I didn't even talk about your blog, right? But the talk is good. So the Bob Kurt's blog, it's a DBA solved, and we put here on description. And I can tell you that I read this blog many times. Also his book. So he is the guy that I am looking for information regarding Golden Gate for last years, and the pleasure it's 100% on me. I'm very happy to have you here on Golden Talks. And starting
uh,
this an English version, I'm sorry if my vocabulary was not so good. I apologize if my English was not so uh, good, but I'm
you
trying
were fine,
to.
Gilson.
Yeah, so it's a brand new experience for me. So I like it, and I hope everyone had enjoyed this golden talk. All right.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
So thank you everyone to watch this. Once again, thank you Bob for you being here with us. And I always finish my video saying if you didn't subscribe to the video and if you like it, so give your like here, subscribe in the channel, and the most important thing is replicate knowledge, and share information with the world. Okay? So thank you. See you in the next Golden Talks. Bye bye, guys. And I just broken the end because I was with the mouse, but soon the guy will enter with the end of this Golden Talk session. This is live, guys. These things happen. So
Hey, that's
one,
what
two,
happens, right?
three, yeah.